Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you the most OP MINSC build in patch 8 of Baldur's Gate 3. We're going to be using the new Swarmkeeper Ranger, but if you played the previous Baldur's Gate games, you're going to know that MINSC is a Berserker. So we're also going to make him a Berserker Barbarian, which actually stacks very well with the Swarmkeeper Ranger because throwing attacks will actually trigger the Swarm. So we'll first off be starting as a Barbarian as they are very powerful and it fits MINSC perfectly. So we'll be going with that. For ability scores, we're going to roll with a stat spread of 16 strength, 16 dexterity, and 14 constitution. If you want earlier on, I guess you don't really get MINSC early on, but if you want, you can dump the dexterity or constitution and put those points elsewhere, but this works pretty great. You don't really need wisdom for the ranger because we're not going to be taking a whole lot of it, so I think that this spread works best. I'll be covering the best gear as well as combat later on in this video. Now into level 2, we get ourselves the Reckless Attack and the Danger Sense, advantage on dexterity saving throws against trap spells, and that works for things like fireballs, so that's nice. Into level 3, we get our Berserker. Now this fits MINSC perfectly as he can berserk in the original Baldur's Gate games. This also gives us the Frenzy, so our rage turns into a Frenzy, you get Frenzied Strike and a Rage Throw, and you can make an improvised weapon attack as a bonus action. So the Frenzied Strike there, or the Frenzied Throw, this is really good. I was thinking of the Giant Barbarian, but this works better, and MINSC is a Berserker, so yeah, it just makes sense. Into level 4, we get ourselves a Feat. Now you can use this to increase your strength or increase your dexterity. Dexterity will give us a better armor class, we're going to go with that, but you can also increase your strength as well. Level 5, extra attack, also fast movement, increases by 3 meters when not wearing heavy armor, so that's really good. And now we got a decision to make. We can go with an extra level to get the mindless rage, can't be charmed, frightened, and calm emotions won't enter rage. However, I think it's best now to add in the Ranger. And we get some options. I wouldn't fully recommend going for heavy armor from the Ranger Knight. I think it's best to probably go with like Bounty Hunter, I guess, if you really want to use the Ensnaring Strike. The Natural Explorer. So this is good because it'll give us resistance to elemental damage types that we can't naturally cover, because Raging will give us physical damage types. The Bear Heart, Wild Heart Barbarian also gives us elemental resistances, but we didn't pick that. Beast Tamer is nice, but I think the Wasteland Wanderer Fire works best, as that's going to be the elemental damage type we encounter the most. The Cold also works great too. Into level 2, we do get some spells. We can take Ensnaring Strike. This is going to be something we use maybe here and there. It's not super ideal. And Hunter's Mark is another okay one. I'd also actually recommend Long Strider too if you don't have someone that already has Long Strider. Hunter's Mark or Long Strider there. And for the fighting style, now defense is nice because you get a +1 armor class, but we can wear clothing and get a higher armor class than taking this. So with this, I actually think it's best to go with like dueling or 2-weapon fighting if you really want to use a second weapon, but I think dueling or archery works best. Dueling's probably the absolute best. This gives a flat out damage increase. And into level 3, this is when we get to take our subclass with the Swarmkeeper, and it's actually cool because this gives us a bonus damage to creatures hit it with our Hunter's Mark. We also get a cantrip here. And we also get the Fairy Fire spell, but we get to pick a Gathered Swarm. Now the bees will push them back and deal piercing damage. We also have the Jellyfish, which can shock and deal lightning damage, or the Flurry of Moths, which can blind an enemy and also deal psychic damage. The blind is kind of weird because it expires when the target's turn starts, so it doesn't actually blind them for an attack, but it'll give you advantage on attack rolls against them. Pushing them away can be nice too. This is really down to personal preference, really what you want to go with here. I'm going to go with the Flurry of Moths. I think that's best. But again, it does have its limitations. And we'll take Long Strider here. Fog Cloud's also nice, but again, when you rage, you lose your spells. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, I think you can go for the extra feed here. However, I think it's another good option to go with the Rogue here because we can get it, obviously Sleight of Hand and Stealth proficiencies. You can choose which of these that you prefer. I think that Sleight of Hand and Stealth are pretty solid ones to go with. However, the big thing is the extra bonus action is really nice because that gives us an extra throw. And then we also get the Dash, Disengage, and Hide bonus action abilities, which is also good to have. But again, we want this for that extra bonus action because the Berserker gets a lot of benefits from it. And this actually works together very well. So extra bonus action, big ups to that. And then for this final feat, if we go here, we get our subclass feature, can be charmed. I think it's actually best to go with the, taking the Ranger. This will give us 102 health. This gives us 103 health. So it's actually best for us to take the Ranger here for the maximizing our health, and then we can boost up our strength or dexterity to the maximum, or take the alert feat. As for the gear, we can go with the Mask of Soul Perception for better attack rolls. That's a really good choice to go with. You could even go with the Assassin of Bulk, even though it feels weird to put that on him. The Horns of the Berserker, nice too. So unarmed and melee attacks deal initial 2 necrotic damage. though you do take damage if you don't do it. This is really good for monks, but also for this style build. It gives us extra damage on our attacks and a +2 attack rolls. The targets that have already taken damage. Cloak Protection gives us a higher armor class. Then the Bone Spike Garbs will give us temporary health when we rage. And it also gives us our Constitution modifier and piercing damage when we're getting attacked. So that's good. If we want to maximize armor class, the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation. As an extra bonus, it puts our armor class up to 28. However, it gives us the Greater Kashigo counter, which gives us a melee attack against anyone that attacks us and misses, and we get health back on saving throw. So if you don't have someone wearing that, take this. Otherwise, you can go with the Bone Spike Garb. This just puts our armor class up a little higher. Then we got the Gloves of Uninhibited Kashigo here, which adds initial 1d8 or 1d4 of damage with the throw attacks and improvised weapons. And we also get the Ring of Flinging, which also gives us an extra 1d4 in throwing attacks. I have the Evasive Shoes here, which will give us a better armor class, and that puts us up to 28. I also like the Killer Sweetheart for that free crit, and the Amulet of Greater Health. Is that going to boost our armor class up by a +6, +5 from Dexterity? So this is the tankiest version of it. As I mentioned, you can take Constitution points and put them into like your Wisdom for better saves. We also got Nyrulna. Now this is the best in slot weapon for a thrower because we don't have the Elemental Cleaver from the Giant Barbarian, so we can't use whatever weapon we want. We have to use Nyrulna. So this is great because it does a big thunder damage area effect, and we also get a +3 to movement speed and jump distance, and we get immunity to fall damage, and we also get special attacks from it. But this is a throw-in weapon that returns to our hand, which is really useful, so we want to have that. Returning Pike would be another option if you don't have Nyrulna. And then we got Viconia's Walking Fortress to get our highest armor class and advantage in saving throws against spells. So really good. Also, we can use the Titan String Bow, which will give us additional damage equal to our strength modifier. If we want, we can use a strength potion as well to further boost this even higher. So then we got quite a bit of damage. And I guess you could also add in the Tavern Brawler. I should have mentioned that for the feats instead of that extra +1. So yeah, we can take Tavern Brawler, which will double the strength modifier, add to damage and attack rolls and throwing weapons. Actually, probably the best way to go about doing this. And yeah, that's just going to increase our hit chance quite a bit. And always make sure that you have Boo summoned in because he's nice and you can actually throw Boo and he'll blind targets. So that's pretty cool. And Boo actually got our first initiative, so we can just run up with him and just do a little bite attack. Not a high hit chance, but hey, 10 damage, we'll take it. And on our turn, the first thing we want to do is go into our Frenzy. So we're going to Rage. This is important because, yeah, that's where we get all of our extra benefits from. So after that, we can go ahead with a throwing attack, and we'll just toss Nyrulna at a target that has as many targets around it as possible because of the area of effect damage that it'll deal. You can see there, boom. We can also use the Flurry of Moss teleport if we wanted to. We don't have to react to it, but we can if we'd like to. And then we'll follow that up with another throw that targets down. So we'll try to hit this one with the most area enemies around it. Again, we can use that teleport. It's a free Misty Step basically within 5 meters. So that's pretty good if you need to reposition yourself. And then we're going to go with another throw here. So we'll go ahead, blast them, and that just dealt damage. We can also throw weapons that are not our main hand weapon, like the Trident of Waves here if we wanted to. So we can go ahead, throw that, boom. For some reason, the extra damage from the moths are not triggering, but it should be triggering. I got it to work before, and then we'll Enrage throw with their last attack there, boom, deal some damage, and unfortunately I hit Boo with that. And then we got our bonus action teleport, so if we need to move back to somewhere else, we got that as well. So we got a target right up in our face here, so sometimes the best thing you can do is just go with a melee attack, so boom, and we roll the execution there, and then we also got the Flurry of Moss to do that extra damage, so we got a 7 off, that's pretty good. And we can also do Frenzied Strike if you wanted to, which is a nice bonus action attack we can follow up with. I'm just going to go with this here. Unfortunately, Boo got a command, kind of funny. Reckless attack. Anytime that we miss, we can give ourselves that advantage. Now, we're having a bad time with getting that. We can use like the Zephyr Rush if you wanted to, and then follow up with a throwing attack. So we'll go ahead, boom, and that took that target out. Perfect. That's what we wanted. And thankfully, Boo saved on that. We got right up and close in here, and then we can use a Frenzied Strike on them with advantage. And then follow it up with a Enraged Throw as well. So we'll throw Nyrulna. We could throw it at someone else and hope that it hits in their effect. It's not going to be enough range, but we knocked that target prone, so that's all we wanted. And the reason I wanted the Vest of Soul Rejuvenation, Greater Kashigo counter. Boom! Critical hit. Also gives us the Flurry of Moss teleport. That's nice, and we finish them off that way. So another thing, again, with Boo is we can actually throw Boo. So boom, pick him up, and toss them and summon. They will get a they'll be blinded by Boo, so yeah, go for the eyes, Boo. It did a bit of damage. 8, 8, and 7. It didn't blind them for whatever reason. It's supposed to. But that was one of our attacks, so we can follow up with our second attack. This is probably not the wisest thing to throw Nirona at the close range, as the damage will take out Boo, so I will spare them. I'm not going to eat the opportunity attacks. Maybe I will throw it. We have a really high hit chance whenever we do throwing attacks, so we can only miss by a critical hit. Yeah, and that sent Boo to the Shadow Realm. And it took out another target, so consider that an absolute win. The nice thing is we also got like Piercing Strike, which we can use on the target. There's weapon actions here, which are nice. They saved on it, unfortunately. And then we got the Enraged Frenzied Throw there, or Enraged Attack, and then Enraged Throw. And we'd even just go, woo, throw them to their death. So that's another option that we got. Throw them away. You can finish them off that way. So yeah, it's a pretty fun Minsk build. Fits lore-wise. It's fun. It's powerful. The most OP version for patch 8. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you haven't already, and I'll see you all in the next video.